insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more. Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy. In a world where truth is the ultimate power and opinions scream the loudest, it's time to wade through the noise.
Hunger no get tribe! Hunger no get religion!
And scan the human interest and trending topics that matter. Stay tuned to The Issues, your plug to the stories making the buzz, from politics to science and technology, social justice, and more. Let's tackle the tough questions and expose the truth. The Issues on Voice of the People Television, Mondays to Fridays, 8 to 9 p.m. The Issues. Don't just react, understand.
VOP TV. Now you have more than a voice.
About the renewed strain in Nigeria's power sector, warning that tariff politics, deep structural weaknesses, and a growing liquidity crisis are undermining the sector's sustainability. In a policy brief by its Chief Executive Officer, Dr. Muda Yusuf, the CPPE noted that the repeated reform efforts, notwithstanding deep structural, financial, and governance challenges, have kept the electricity industry among the nation's most challenging segments. According to the organization, the problems are multidimensional and cut across political, economic constraint, tariff distortions, weak investor capacity, transmission bottlenecks, and a persistent liquidity crisis across the value chain. It identified a difficulty in implementing a fully cost-reflective tariff regime as top amongst the issues, as electricity tariffs remain capped largely due to social and political sensitivities, including subsidy dependence and widened financing gap.
Still in the news, the federal government has disclosed ongoing discussions with Burkina Faso government to the release of the detained Nigerian Air Force C-130 aircraft and its 11 soldier crew. The aircraft crew and soldiers on board were seized last Monday after the crew's precautionary landing in Bobo de Lasso, Burkina Faso, over technical faults. Burkina Faso authorities and the Confederation of Sahel States have accused the crew of violating its airspace as reason the plane was forced to land. However, a spokesperson of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Kimia Biebinfa, say the federal government has been actively engaging the African country to resolve the matter diplomatically, adding that the crew were yet to be released. He added that the ministry has taken over the discussion to ensure the safe release of both the aircraft and the military personnel.
In the meantime, the Economic Community of West African States, Ecowas, has declared against unconstitutional changes of government, warning of targeted sanctions against coup masterminds in the sub-region. In the final communique presented by the Ecowas Commission President, Dr. Oumar Touré, at the close of the 68th ordinary session of the Ecowas Authority of Heads of State and Government at the State House in Abuja, the body reaffirmed the readiness to deploy the ECOWAS standby force to defend the constitutional order. ECOWAS said it recognized the relative stability and resilience of the region and commended the conduct of recent presidential and general elections in Guinea-Bissau and Côte d'Ivoire, while welcoming preparations by Benin Republic ahead of its forthcoming polls, amongst others. On the Gambia, it expressed, or rather warned former President Yahya Jammeh that the joint ECOWAS African Union United Nations declaration preceding his departure to exile did not absolve him of accountability for allegations of human rights violations committed during his rule between 1994 and 2016. Meanwhile, the summit also reshaped the region's institutional leadership ahead of the end of the current mandate in July 2026. Consequently, Senegal was named to assume the presidency of the ECOWAS Commission with Nigeria as vice president, among other portfolios.
Opposition figures, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and 2023 Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Gregory Obi, have accused President Bola Tinubu's administration of deliberately undermining opposition parties ahead of the future elections. In a joint statement, which was also signed by the national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, David Mark, and former All Progressives Congress, John Odige Oyego, they allege that state authority is being weaponized against political opponents rather than to combat economic crimes. They further called for an independent audit of federal, state, and local government accounts from 2015 to 2025. According to the opposition, major national institutions, including the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, Nigerian Police, and the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, are increasingly being used as instruments of political intimidation, selectively enforcing justice against opposition figures while shielding ruling party members. They allege that across the nation, state power is being deployed not for the prevention of economic crimes, but for the prosecution of perceived political adversaries, with the ultimate aim of weakening opposition voices and dismantling Nigeria's multi-party democracy.
In the meantime, the leadership of the Accord Party in Osun State has accused the All Progressives Congress, APC, of a plot to organize a parallel primary after the emergence of Governor Ademola Adeleke as its flag bearer for the 2026 state governorship election. In a statement, the Osun State chairman of Accord, Victor Akonde, said the plot of a legal parallel primary is to sow the seeds of disunity, confusion, and chaos in the state in the name of the party. According to him, it is a gimmick by the APC to discredit what he called the overwhelming acceptance, popularity, and goodwill that Governor Adeleke enjoys among the Osun people, especially after his declaration and affiliation with the party.
In another development, because our tomorrow BBOTT party has warned that shifting the 2027 general election to November 2026 will terribly impact the electoral process and defeat the purpose. In a statement by the national chairman, Sonia Denoga BOOT party, said that Nigeria is at a defining crossroad, adding that electoral reform is necessary and technology can strengthen democracy, but only when thoughtfully introduced, transparently tested, and backed by infrastructure that is resilient, secured, and professionally governed.
In a recent development, United States Congressman Riley Moore says his country and Nigeria are finalizing an agreement on a strategic security framework in the fight against terrorism in Nigeria. In a post on X, Moore said the proposed framework would focus on combating extremist groups operating in the northeast and middle belt regions of the country and ending what he called a genocide against Christians. His comments followed a fact-finding mission to Nigeria, where he witnessed firsthand the devastating impact of violent extremism on the civilian population in Benue and Plateau State. Moore, who led a delegation of U.S. congressmen on the fact-finding mission, met with the Nigerian government officials, including the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, and the Attorney General of the Federation, Lateef Fagbemi. He also met with some religious and traditional leaders in Benue and Plateau State, as well as Benue State Governor Hyacinth Alia. He explained that his report to President Donald Trump would outline paths to ending the violent extremism and the killing of Christians, amongst others.
Still on insecurity, notorious bandit leader Bello Turji has called for the arrest of the former governor of Sokoto State, Tahiru Bafarawa, and former governor of Zamfara State, Senator Ahmad Yerima, accusing them of fueling the security crisis in the northern region. In a viral video on social media, the bandit leader refuted the claims by Musa Kamarawa, a former peace mediator appointed by the Sokoto and Zamfara State government to facilitate dialogue with armed groups in the northwest. Distancing himself from political influence, Turji claimed that he was not acting on behalf of any politician or interest group in Nigeria.
Meanwhile, a former member of the Kwara State House of Assembly, Mashood Bakari, has urged the federal government to urgently investigate allegations that the Kwara State government supplied arms and ammunition to the bandits terrorizing parts of the state. This followed claims by suspected bandits who were arrested by the military that were sponsored by by the state government. However, the chief press secretary to the governor, Abdul Rahman Abdul Razak Rafiu Ajakaye, has dismissed the allegations as shared this information, stating that anyone who understands Hausa will see that the fellows said they got weapons from Abuja. In the video, one of the suspects has said in Hausa and Pidgin English that the patrol vehicle and rifles were provided by the Ilorin government, alleging that they had been operating under the guise of security patrol.
Meanwhile, President of Dangote Industrial Limited, Aliko Dangote, has accused the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, Farouk Ahmed, of economic sabotage. Calling for his investigation and prosecution, Dangote told newsmen in Lagos that the leadership of the NMDPRA was undermining domestic refining in Nigeria by colluding with international traders and oil importers to frustrate local refining through the continued issuance of import licenses for petroleum products. Dangote further alleged that Ahmed was living beyond his legitimate means. Expressing concern over the state of the downstream sector, he stated that Nigeria's continued reliance on fuel imports was harming local production and discouraging investment in domestic refining. He further disclosed that import licenses covering approximately 7.5 billion liters of PMS had reportedly been issued for the first quarter of 2026, despite of the availability of significant domestic refining capacity.
You're still watching the Midday News right here on Voice of the People television. We'll take a very short break now and we'll return with more stories and the news analysis segment. Stay tuned.
This is African News on Voice of the People Television, where we don't just bring you the news, we bring you Africa's heartbeats, the policies that shapes our world, and the economy that determines our future. African News on Voice of the People Television. Stay with us.
Voice of the People, you can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Suibifa Dokobo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekumali Ikenda Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka, Amayanabo the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV. Stay with us.
2564 is coming up on 29, right? 2564 Atlantic Tower.
What happens in the hush behind hangar doors? Who signs the papers that gamble with lives? Which truths were grounded before they even ever had wings? If you've ever buckled a seatbelt at 30,000 feet, if you've ever stared out of that tiny window and wondered who's really in control of the skies, it isn't just flight, it's power, it's politics, it's pressure sealed in steel. We're peeling back the clouds from runway risks to sky-high secrets. We're diving deep where most dare not to look. Aviation Scope, every Sunday at 7 p.m. only on Voice of the People TV. We don't just report, we reveal. We don't just ask, we uncover. Because when it comes to the skies, ignorance is turbulence. Aviation Scope, the sky isn't the limit, it's just the beginning.
Glad to have you back. It's still the Media News and Voice of the People Television, and it's time for the Media News Analysis. And with us in the studio is Mr. Darlington Agomo Esquire, a political and public affairs commentator. Good afternoon, Barrister Darlington. Good to have you join today's Media News.
Good afternoon, Finan. How are you?
Good. Good to have you join the news today.
Yes,
All right. Without wasting much time, Barrister, let's start off with this new allegation levied against the NMDPRA chief and their leadership by Aliko Dangote that they are finding a way to undermine the production of local refineries by giving out licenses to importers of PMS in the country. Recall that before now, I think the presidency made a statement about how we're going to have a 15%, tariff imposed on people who are still importing PMS, where we'll have a capacity and a yielding refinery in Nigeria that would belonging to a private person or private individual, but still is producing something that we can even export and serve in the country. What do you have to say about this allegation and the call for investigation, saying that the boss is living above his means?
Look, the story of the oil industry is a story of fraud and deceit. Is it not someone that gave people license to import fuel? When Dangote have told us that, look, he is ready to supply even Africa, not to talk of Nigeria. So why are you giving people license to import fuel? They are not doing it on their own. So whatever story the government is telling me here, I will never believe them because they are not sincere. Remember, when this guy brings this fuel, we are still going to pay them subsidy. Meanwhile, they told us that subsidy is gone. So what is the government doing with this oil industry. If you import fuel, you import at your own peril. When you come in, you compete with Dangote. Since you want to run a free market. So why is it that government is still giving subsidy to some people? Are they giving Dangote subsidy? The answer is no. So why must they be and they are whatever? In fact, it's so sad. See, this is how they kill businesses. You say people should come in and invest. A man invested and you will not allow him to run his business. You are trying to undermine it. You are trying to, because you are using your federal might to support some people against the business of other people. This oil industry, when will the story end?
That's the next question I wanted to ask you.
After the moving subsidy.
Now, but do you think that this call, coming from the Aliko Dangote and his team for Farouk Ahmed to be investigated, he tagged it economic sabotage. Do you think he's going to see the order of the day? Do you think he's going to see the light of the day?
It's
the government to look into it?
Yeah, it's left for him to put pressure because there is something going on here that nobody is telling us.
Why are we having this back and forth with Dangote refinery? And first it was the Ipman, and later it moved or metamorphosed into Nupeng, even talking about boycotting supply of crude oil and every other thing. And now we're getting, another one coming from people still receive licenses for fuel importation. They want to have a refinery working here in Nigeria.
I want Dangote to sue the federal government. Under the PIA, it is stated clearly that, look, in the dancing sector, you don't need to bring in anything that Nigerian entrepreneurs have the capacity.
Wouldn't that be indicting if he's to go that route, given the fact that we were told, Barrister, that according to the PIA, someone who is playing majorly, in the refining shouldn't be seen running around the retailing arm or the retailing part of it too. I think the PIA also is so clear on that position.
Have he not told you to come and lift up his product, but you refuse? You refuse. You decided to import. The man said, look, he doesn't want Nigerians to be shortchanged. He pegged the price at, I think, 800. Then you, who came to pick it up, is now adding more money against the dictates of the industry. Is that not why Dangote said, look, I'm going to supply to Nigerians directly? Because the people who are supposed to do that, they are now playing hanky-panky with him.
So what does this portend with the mantra of this administration calling or telling Nigerians that local production or refining is one of the things that they will look into? And, we have the likes of BUA coming up too. Are we going to see BUA refinery also faces such challenge that Aliko Dangote refinery is facing?
Let him come up for maybe when he team up with Dangote, the government will not listen.
But with the back and forth, the story surrounding this, recall when we heard about NNPC seeking to have an office with within the refinery and all that, the allegations of having sold for fuel, the diesel supply and all that. Are we going to see all this clear without, more like making other people who have interest in oil and gas sector now change their mind or push the business to another country? I
am expecting Dangote. In fact, I'm advising Dangote to take the federal government to court over this thing. Because the federal government is behind it. Who gives the import license to this, what's it called, importers of fuel? Is it not the federal government? So why would you be doing that? Dangote should take them to court. That would have been possible if Dangote cannot meet up the supply. It's okay, the shortfall, yes, people should bring it in. But Dangote have promised to supply the whole of Africa. So Nigeria is just a piece of cake for him. They just want to sabotage this man.
Sabotage?
Yeah, they are sabotaging him. That's why if you check, at every point in time, he will lower prices.
All right, Barrister, let's move away slightly from that story to issue of banditry terrorism, where Torje Bello denies having any sponsorship from Bello Matawalle, but further accuses Bafarawa and Yerima, the former governors of Zamfara and Sokoto, of fueling the issue of fueling insecurity now in the northern region of Nigeria. There was a video we played during the morning buzz on Saturday, where one man, I think Kamarawa was his name, he was appointed to be a mediator, more like a peace mediator between the bandits and, the government. And he was appointed during the time of Bello Matawalle. He was so vocal. He talked about how much was given to him even to the point of renovation of buildings, supplying of basic amenities, payments from 14 local governments to this terrorist. And he has documents, information. The help also came from Abuja for the terrorists to still be running around. And he made mention of Torje Bello, Lelo, and other people who have been holding the northern region, especially the Zamfara axis down by the jugular. And now we're seeing Torje Bello, a non-state actor, coming up to say that Matawalle should not be blamed, but the former governor of Sokoto and Zamfara should be blamed. What do you have to say about this?
The man is lying. In fact, the only reason why this man is talking is because this government in place now, the government in office now, I don't know how to describe them. If they are truly a government in power, somebody like Torje Bello should not be. In fact, he would have been taken down about 2 years ago. I'm telling you. The mere fact that this Torje Bello is still talking is an insult to every Nigerian. A very big insult. A foreign terrorist from Niger coming here to tell us what to do. Now accusing state actors, naming them as partners in his criminal endeavor. Is that not an embarrassment that Torje Bello will open his mouth and be telling us who is involved in the business he's doing? This is not the first time, remember. He has been saying all this while. And this man is now acting like a law unto himself. He has become an alternate government. So if he's saying that what this special assistant is saying is not true, then who is now sponsoring him? Where is he getting the money that is sustaining him? The guns and ammunition in his custody, how did he get them? How is he sustaining those people he kidnapped? The people he released the other time, they were about 100 people. Is that not true? So how come they were in his custody? This is a question this man cannot even answer. Yet the government is looking at him, listening to him. Listening to him, he's now pointing fingers to governors, elected governors.
First, so what does this speak to? The complacent nature of some elected officials in fight against insecurity, because some Nigerians are of the opinion that some people are benefiting from this. So I've gone for that talk about how some governors are enjoying the largesse from the security votes that's been paid to them. And now I have a non-state actor, coming up, a ragtag bandits coming up to tell Nigerians that go after former governors of these states. They are the ones that need to be arrested, not the state for defense minister, who we know that some persons are also talking about how he must have in one way or another supply, be it vehicles or other form of, other form of aid to terrorists at this point. How are we going to fight insecurity, especially in the northwestern region, to end it so that, this embarrassment can actually go off Nigerian soil?
If you add it to the investigation by Danjuma Ali Kefas, Fina, you now know that we are in a very deep mess. Seriously. Let's even leave that of Torje Bello. The investigation by an army officer who told us how that man was killed. That chief of army staff who took over from Brotai. How he was murdered. How a bomb was planted in his plane and the thing blew away all the people inside it. That report is out there. The man, after that investigation, he had to be detained for 64 days. Now, is that one true a lie? Is it a lie? Because if a plane landed, it would not warrant taking away the legs of people inside that place, their limbs. But this is the bomb that blew away their limbs. And so, who planted that bomb? Fina, who did that thing? To find out is not a rocket science. You can always find out. The person that entered that plane the last time before that chief of army staff entered that plane is enough. He will tell her what he went there to go and do before the plane took off. But nobody will mention, nobody will talk about it. And so, When these things are happening, Fina, know that government hand is in this matter.
Barrister, what does this portend? What picture do we have now of Nigeria within the international space? Because we're talking about what's playing out in Kwara, in Zamfara and in Sokoto. We have another, more like an accusation, coming up again from Kwara State, where we're having former member of the Kwara State House of Assembly, Moshood Bakare, urging the federal government to further investigate allegation that the Kwara State government is supplying arms and ammunition to bandit terrorists in some parts of the state. What is really happening? The stories we're getting, revelation or allegation, how are we going to exonerate ourselves from such?
The terrorists confessed that, yes, the arms they are carrying was given to them by the government of Kwara State. Have you? You said that the car they are using, the motor they are using to patrol, all of them were supplied by what? Kwara State government. You see what we have been saying all along, that government hand is in this matter. Is it not coming to light now? So how will the government now exonerate itself with this romance with terrorists? How do you explain it? Government has in this, that's why somebody in America called us a disgraced nation. They have all this information, Fina. They have it at the tip of their palms, like they have it. That the government of Nigeria is working with terrorists in Nigeria. The facts are here now before us. So how will anybody deny this now? No, how will the government deny it every time you hear them talking about fighting insecurity? Meanwhile, all is wash. What they are telling you is not what they are doing. They will tell you another thing. Meanwhile, in their mind, in their innermost of their mind, they have a different mindset. Look at what we are seeing, that a government is involved in terrorism. A government. How do you explain all these things, for God's sake? How? You see the real people that are terrorizing, you are in bed, you are in discussion with them, you are romancing with them. Then how can I now believe that you are fighting security? Why is Toju Bello still in Nigeria and nobody have touched him? Why? Every time we are getting close to him, Is the man a spirit? All this while you have been having meeting with him and you don't know where he is. Please, somebody should tell me. The truth is coming home now, that the government is involved in this terrorism. The truth is coming home now. From state to federal, they are involved in this matter. All the facts are there in the open. Because if I tell you, Fina, that look, you see this thing that is happening here, I know the person who behind it. You as the government, instead of you to take action, you pretend as if you do not hear me, you do not see me. It shows that you are involved. That's why you don't want to take action. Simple. There's no other explanation. Your action speaks louder than words. You can't even confront these people and say, look, you have done enough or you leave Nigeria. You can't even say that. Why?
What information do you think that Larry Moore will give to the U.S. government? Because he made mention of how he's going to drop the official information from his finding from Nigeria regarding the CPC, country of particular concern, that will have been designated to belong to the Christian genocide and every other thing that has to do with insecurity. What information do you think is going to push out? With all this celebration that we're getting now, the back and forth, the support of some government officials in terrorism. And do you think also that the federal government will be genuine enough in bringing out the names of terrorism financiers that they told us that they have already?
I have told the US to stop this committee and partnership with Nigerian government. I have told them, if they don't want to be messed up, because the federal government of Nigeria is not ready to fight this terrorism. So if anybody is coming to do it, they wouldn't like it. There are people they are covering. There are people they wouldn't want to mention their name. There are information they will not give American government. Because some people are above the law in Nigeria. In Nigeria, some people are above the law. You hear nothing, see nothing, and say nothing about them. That's the truth. So the federal government will never reveal these people or hand them over to American government. So what is the need of the partnership and the committee and whatever panel? What's the need? If you are sincere, do you need an American government to tell you what to do? If you are sincere, tell me. You don't have any military now to take care of this thing, except America comes into the matter. I have advised the American government, they should not allow themselves to be rubbish in this matter. Because whenever the federal government of Nigeria don't want to do anything, they set up committee. Fina, were you not here when the Minister of Defense, they were appointed just 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, was blowing hot on TV and everywhere that he will find out. He will investigate and find out the person that ordered those people to leave the school before they were kidnapped. Fina, up to today, have you heard anything again? Up to today. He's still investigating, Abi. So it will take 2 years to find out who did that thing. So, sorry, somebody gave an order by phone call. Somebody called somebody in that school. All of you should get out from that place. So, do you need angels from heaven to tell you who? The people that left that school, somebody should tell the government. I received this phone call from so person. Do you need a panel to know who the person is? Please, they should stop disturbing us and stop deceiving themselves.
All right, let's move away from terrorism for a few minutes and talk about diplomatic and what seems to be diplomatic and military tensions between Nigeria and some other West African states that have been involved in coups recently, particularly at this moment, Burkina Faso. The federal government of Nigeria says they are yet to release the 11 soldiers who were in the aircraft that had to make an emergency landing in the country. Now, while we're talking about that as well, there was an Ecowas meeting where Nigeria is calling for stronger regional unity, where Nigeria is also calling for stronger diplomatic, where we all come together and work as Ecowas, as the West African Union, right? So that we can actually achieve more. But these countries that have been involved in coups, they said they don't longer want to be part of ECOWAS, and they formed the Association of Sahel States. Where does Nigeria stand right now, especially when such countries feel like Nigeria is biting more than it can chew, or Nigeria is liaising with countries that they are trying to push out, particularly France, whereby Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger are trying to push out France? Would you say they see this as a betrayal?
Of course. In fact, that was the major reason why the Sahel state left. That's why their colonial masters were oppressing and suppressing them. Nigeria, that was heading ECOWAS at that time, was in bed with France. That was why these people left. You are supposed to protect your people. This is the ECOWAS states. And they are complaining of what their colonial masters is doing to them. Instead of you to align with your people here in ECOWAS, you were, romancing with France, going there and they are dictating to you what to do to your own people. That was why they left. And I cannot blame them, seriously, I cannot. If other countries, have the opportunity, they too should leave. Because ECOWAS is no longer serving the purpose for which it was created. Where is the protection? ECOWAS has become a toothless bulldog. They can't even sanction Nigeria for what they say, except to make a statement that Nigeria is the worst culprit in disobeying ECOWAS court and all that. After that, what happened? After saying that, what happened? Nothing. You just told Nigeria that you disobey ECOWAS court decisions. What are you supposed to do as a follow-up? Nothing. So ECOWAS is a spent force. It no longer have the power to discipline members, even to talk to some of their leaders who have been messing around with their country and all that. They can't do that.
When you say they don't have what it takes to, you recall that they've also warned the former governor or the former president of Gambia, Yahya Jammeh, that he must come back to answer questions regarding the way he acted from the time he was the president of Gambia from 2016 from 1994 to 2016. We have issues of violation, human rights violation during the time he was down on that. Don't you think that that's more like a good call, even while he was in exile? They are ready to sanction.
Don't mind them. They are choosing the scapegoat here. Because Jammeh and Gambia is a very small country. They don't have a voice. People have done worse since than Jammeh, and yet nothing happened. Fina, people have done worse things 10 times over than Jammeh in Gambia. Yet nobody called them out, nobody sanctioned them, nobody said anything. Can you see what we are talking about here?
When you say people have done worse things, can you help us walk through?
Nigeria. ECOWAS just told you here that Nigeria is the worst culprit in disobeying ECOWAS court decision. They don't implement, they don't obey it. Is that not true? So what followed after? Why don't you call Tinubu to come and explain why you cannot obey ECOWAS court? Call him out the same way you are calling Najame. Yes, call him out. Let us start from there.
On the issue of military coups, can ECOWAS actually stop other West African nations from this happening? We saw how Nigerian forces and ECOWAS forces actually trooped into Benin Republic, and they are still there even up till now. Can they stop this wave of coups? And is there ever a way we can come to agreement with this confederation of Sahel states who have chosen to stay on their own?
If anybody is in doubt, let them watch out. Some of these people are going to leave the ECOWAS bloc. They can't stop coups in West Africa. It's not possible. As long as this rascality in democracy continues, people are going to excuse themselves from it, whether you like it or not. The world has moved on. This is 21st century, for God's sake. You don't expect anybody to wait for you. No, it's not possible. What causes this disagreement? What causes this coup? Have you addressed it? The answer is no. So if you have not addressed it, then what makes you think that the problem will not continue? Look, it's not about democracy. The question is, what has democracy brought to West Africa and Africa? If you are behaving worse than the military men you are accusing of undermining democracy, then what is the need? What is the essence? What's the difference between some of civilian administration in Africa and the military? What's the difference? Some civilian administration is 10 times worse than the military. 10 times worse than the military. They just go to that AU building in Addis Ababa and then protect their own interests. Because you feel that the military. But some of them are genuinely patriotic. Genuinely patriotic, unlike you people who claim to be civilian Democrats. Mention any of them that have not stolen money from their country and take it to the Western world. Just mention one person among them. Is that part of democracy? You steal your country blind. You impoverish your people. You dehumanize your people. You disobey court order, rule of law. And now you are claiming you sit tight. No, tell me, you sit tight like Bobby in Cameroon, like Museveni, like so many of them in Africa. You are not talking. You have not asked them why. It is the military you come and tell that they are not. You are the one that called for it. So don't blame anybody. You are the one.
All right, Barrister, I guess this is a good place to encore today's Media News analysis. Thank you so much, Barrister Darlington Agomo, for being part of today's Media News. We appreciate your presence in the studio.
It's my pleasure.
All right, we'll go on a quick break and we'll come back. Benue directs schools to refund 106,000 WAEC and NECO fee back to students. Do well to stay with us. Come back, is still the Media News and Voice of the People television. The Benue State government has directed Joel Model School, Makudi, to immediately reverse to 106,000 naira being charged parents for the West African Examination Council, WAEC, and National Examination Council, NECO, describing the levy as excessive and unjustifiable. The directive, through its Education Quality Assurance and Examination Board, followed a series of petitions from aggrieved parents who accused the school of imposing arbitrary examination fees. Following the complaint, the board summoned the school's proprietor, principal, and members of the Parents Teachers Association to a meeting in Makodi, where they reported they failed to justify the amount being demanded. Speaking during the engagement, the Executive Secretary of BEQAEB, Dr. Tina Francis, clarified that the official approved fee for WAEC registration was 28,000 naira, while NECO was yet to announce its fee for the 2026 examinations. He further stressed that candidates were not mandated to register for both WAEC and NECO, and that such decisions should be left to parents and students.
Now we take you straight into the world of business, where the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has confirmed the successful containment of a disruption on a section of the Ecowas-Lagos pipeline system in southwest Warri, Delta State. According to the Chief Corporate Communications Officer, Andy Ode, all relevant pipeline sections have been safely and securely isolated. He explained in a statement that a joint team of NNPC Limited, the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, and MDPRA technical teams and maintenance contractors have conducted a preliminary inspection at the affected site. NNPC Gas Infrastructure Company, NGIC, which operates the network, had activated its business continuity plan to manage the impact on all affected stakeholders, including shippers and suppliers, to ensure minimal disruption to operations. The company said it would continue to maintain open communication with host communities, state authorities, and other critical stakeholders while reaffirming focus on community engagement and operational reliability across all assets.
Moving on to the sports segment of the bulletin, Super Eagles goalkeeper Francis Uzoho has declared readiness for international duty after being recalled for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations AFCON in Morocco. Speaking on his return, Uzoho expressed delight at reconnecting with long-term teammates, saying that his recall was a moment of joy and relief, stating that his return to the national team was based on his readiness and the confidence the technical crew has on him. He dismissed the insinuations of rivalry with first-choice goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali. According to him, both support each other and share a very close relationship. Meanwhile, Nigeria heads into the AFCON, aiming to improve on their runner-ups finish at the last edition.
Still in sports, Sunderland's debut win was about pride as much as points. It marked a defining moment in a season built on belief and momentum. Manchester City were not flawless, but they were clinical when it mattered. Erling Haaland's goals continue to tilt big games in their favor. Aston Villa are rewriting the rules of expected goals with confidence and quality. Their results suggest this surge is no fluke, but a sustained challenge. At the other end, mistakes and inefficiency are proving costly for struggling sides. In the Premier League, control and composure remain the difference between progress and regret.
In entertainment, legendary Nollywood director and actor Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle, have been found dead at their home in Los Angeles. Police say the case is being investigated as an apparent homicide. Authorities confirmed that a 78-year-old man and a 68-year-old woman were pronounced dead at the scene, though no arrests, have been made. Investigators have not released details about the cause of death or any possible suspects. Reiner was best known for directing classic films such as A Princess Bride, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, and A Few Good Men. Tributes have poured in from political leaders and figures across the film industry. California Governor Gavin Newsom described Reiner as a big-hearted genius, while colleagues remembered him as a kind and influential voice in cinema. The police says the coroner's office will determine the official cause of death. That is it on the media news, but before we go, let's take a quick look at the headlines. CPPE flays power sectors, says a 4 trillion naira debt tariff politics as unstable.
And Ecowas tackles Coups, Reorders regional power structure.
FG says 11 soldiers still detained by Burkina Faso.
Presidency opposition bicker over alleged EFCC intimidation.
Congressman Moore says Nigeria, U.S. close to finalizing security framework.
Dangote accuses NMDPRA chief of fraud, 6 probe.
In business, we told you that NNPC repairs Escravos Lagos pipeline after incident.
And in sport, Zoho declares readiness the Smithies Mwabali rivalry claims.
In entertainment, filmmaker Rob Reiner, wife found dead in Los Angeles homes. That is it on the news. Do well to subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube. We are at Voice of the People TV, and across all the social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. If you witness any news happening around you, we want to gather information. Do well to visit our newsroom via this website, www.vop.ng, and also you can get across to the newsroom on news@vop.ng. Up next on the schedule of Voice of the People television is the Spotlight Show with Precious Agumanu. I am Fina Okechukwu.
And I am Chioma Innocent. Thank you for watching.
Do you want your voice to be heard? Do you know that you matter in the scheme of things? The People's Voice, the show where ordinary citizens take center stage as we discuss the biggest stories that affect you and I. With you in mind, we facilitate lively discussions, debates, and interviews on the topics that matter most to you and I. From social justice to economic empowerment, education to healthcare, governance, and more. Tackling tough topics and amplifying your voice. Join the conversation and make your voice count. The People's Voice. Make your voice count.
Voice of the people. You can hear me now. My name is Patrick Doyle, and I wish that you continue to echo the voices of the people. Big up VOP TV.
My name is Ibifa Dokubo. Please keep watching VOP TV.
Hi, my name is Kwekubali Ikenna Onyekwena, and I am with the Voice of the People TV. Now, if you're looking for the veritable channel for information, politics, robust discussions, you don't need to go far. VOP has you. VOP will always have you. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patrick Diabwa, aka Ibani Chuka, Amayanabo the Eagle King, and you are watching VOP TV. Stay with us.
Hello there, my name is